I mean, I said so many days where I was going through the motions, not motivated. You know that?
Yeah, I've been like that for time.
Yeah. And now it's like I'm feeling alive again.
That's what we call writer's block. Oh, and really quickly, hi guys, we're doing a podcast right now.
Yeah,
Welcome to
we're still
episode, I don't know.
alive. We still exist.
Yes. So I just wanted to get the intro over with, just so people aren't like, what the heck's going on? Yeah, I'm sorry, we're not dead, not abandoning this. It's just we're both super busy. He was in China, getting set up in China. I have college
Yeah.
and exams and whatnot. We finally both have free time, so we're doing stuff. So
And we both
very
went through
different.
a brief depression period, but now we're back. I guess.
I wasn't super depressed, but like there was
That's why I called
times.
it brief. Yep. Baby Yoda has healed us. There.
Yes.
That way.
Should we talk about that now, or should we save that for like when we cover the whole
Well,
season?
I mean that was pretty much what we're gonna talk about anyway. So yeah, The Mandalorian.
I started. I was hoping to save most of my thoughts for the review, but okay, I guess now.
I mean, wasn't this the review? Or are you doing your own on your channel?
Well, like I wasn't. Never mind. I thought like what the plan was that we were gonna wait till like the last episode came out and then talk about it, and we would do like a podcast review like this. But I can talk about it now.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the last episode and how it impacts and changes the first season when it comes out. For now, it's just Mandalorian so far.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, The Mandalorian, the Disney Plus series that's probably the only reason people own Disney Plus right now.
Yeah,
Um, uh, I've seen 3 episodes. How many episodes have you seen, out of curiosity?
7.
Oh, 7 of them. You don't have to worry about spoilers around me. I've seen clips from all of them, but not like the whole thing and whatnot.
Oh, so you've
But
seen the Baby Yoda plays music meme?
you mean that video you sent me?
No, it's a meme where they take a scene from episode 4. It's a brief scene where Baby Yoda's pressing buttons and Mandalorian presses
Oh,
a button to stop it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
that one.
stop touching
That
things.
one I saw.
Yeah, and people
That,
edit different music to it.
yeah, that one I definitely saw.
Yeah. As to the music video, I think that's
I'll
had a lot of views.
have to hunt down one funny clip that's both funny and kind of mean. It's where someone dubs over the Mandalorian, where he's like joking around with, or like not joking around, but like says like, "What the heck are you doing, Baby Yoda?" Like, and I didn't say Baby Yoda, but like he's saying like, I killed 50 people for you. You might have some more respect. And like as he presses more buttons, he's like, push one more time, see what happens, and like, and then it's like, yeah, it's a cute video. I'll have to find it for you.
Mm, yeah.
Buried somewhere on my
And,
Twitter
and then there was another one I saw, I can't remember where Baby Yoda presses the third button and the Death Star blows up Alderaan.
Oh yeah, I was actually planning on sending that to you, but like you saw,
Yeah,
I
so the
forgot.
Mandalorian's like, let's just pretend that didn't happen and move on.
No, he just says great. What happens is they press the
Yeah,
button,
exactly. Yes, he says,
button,
great.
and then it says
move on.
death toll 14. Then it says death toll 14 billion,
Yeah.
and then he's like, great.
Well, that just goes to show you the power of Baby Yoda. I mean, he could blow up an entire planet, we'd still love him.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on The Mandalorian so far for 7 episodes in and whatnot? Like, season 1 ends, and we'll talk about this definitely again once episode 8 airs, but 7 episodes in, what do you think of the first season? What do you think of it?
It has incredible potential.
I think
And
overall,
even though it's done well.
I've seen 3 episodes, and overall, I'd say it's pretty good. I don't know if I'd say it's like terrific necessarily, but it's like very well made in a lot of aspects, and I really am enjoying it.
I mean, it's
Uh,
well made in comparison to Disney Star Wars, but no, that's not too
yeah.
hard, is it?
One thing I like about it is it's not afraid to have some like quiet moments from time to time.
Yeah.
It's not something I was like expecting,
Mm-hmm.
but it really works to it. You know.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
And it actually gives its main character some character and personality. In a very good way. And especially episode 4, you learn more about the Mandalorian's backstory.
Forward to that.
Yeah.
I
And
kind of
more
wish it
about
was.
some of the inner conflicts he has.
I find it interesting. One scene I really laughed really hard at because I was not expecting this was when he almost set some Jawas on fire. Do you remember the scene where like
Yeah.
they're negotiating to get stuff back? He's like, "What about this?" And he almost sets them on fire. That moment, I was like, I wish this show was rated R so we can just see some like Jawas that get set on fire. I was thinking, oh my god, I have like a fucked up brain.
Mhm.
Something is definitely wrong with me. That these are the thoughts that go in my head.
Yeah, creative people always have something wrong with them.
Mm. After, ooh, we're in overtime.
Hmm. Yeah.
So let me think. And yes, and of course, another big part of the Mandalorian that people have been especially going crazy over is Baby Yoda and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Yeah.
The cute little guy who, when you think about it, has kind of caused the deaths of a lot of people just for simply existing.
Hey, he can't help that. Don't attack Baby Yoda.
Well, I'm just stating the facts. If you didn't exist, like so many people have died and like gone after whether from going after him or whether it's been mercenaries or
Yeah.
it's been like the Mando protecting him. So many people have died just so he can live,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
that's not even counting the ones he's probably directly been involved in.
yeah, many more are probably gonna die, in all likelihood.
Yeah,
But it's all necessary because he's pretty much keeping Disney Plus alive now. And that's
pretty
what the
much.
song said.
I wonder. Oh yeah. I also one thing I did see. I know it's from like I think a later episode, but I saw a clip of it online. Was that I know he force choke at one point, and all I can think is, oh my gosh, that's like really screwed up. To
Hmm.
see Baby Yoda be these like dark side powers and whatnot.
It's not so dark if you know the context.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Probably not, but still though.
No,
The one meme I
he
found
thought
funny.
that the Mandalorian was in danger.
Yeah, that is fair enough. Still though, one great
I know.
meme came out of it where Baby Yoda, where it had the cat, where Baby Yoda doing the force choke, and Baby Yoda said, "Does Baby Yoda have to choke a bit?"
Hmm.
Some good memes that came out of it. Mandalorian could be the worst show ever, but I'll always appreciate it for the Baby Yoda memes.
Hmm. Yeah, he became incredible overnight, that one. I can appreciate the way Yoda having such an incredible main character. I
Um,
mean,
uh,
sure, anyone is great in comparison to the main characters from Disney Star Wars so far. The Mandalorian is an incredible one.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you never see his face. You have to figure out what he's thinking purely from body language, tonality, and how fast or how slowly he says certain things, or speed of his reactions. And just from that, you get so much.
I'm curious, what did you mean by you think the show has a lot of potential? Potential in what exactly?
Well, potential for a second season.
Oh.
And also potential for what the show was likely intended to do.
What do you think it's intended to do?
Figure out who's going to replace Kathleen Kennedy.
You think John Favreau should or like the creators behind it? Oh,
Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, hell yeah.
oh yeah.
I
Speaking of
mean,
which,
think about the show. It's had only 7 episodes so far. It's won back the fan base, mainly healed it. It's introduced diversity in a way that everyone likes. It's done in
speaking
7 weeks what Kathleen Kennedy couldn't do in 5 frickin' years.
speaking of which, um, uh, do you know the name Deborah Cho at all?
Yeah, the director of the Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah, she's directed 2 episodes, episode three
Hmm.
and I think number 7. And she said something I think you'd be pretty interested in hearing. And like I think it was an interview where she said like she's not interested in being a good female director, she's just interested in being a good director.
Exactly. That's what you should be.
I once, interestingly enough, I looked up her IMDb profile. And it looks like she's worked on a lot of stuff, but not like long time for a lot of stuff. Like she's directed 2 episodes of like Better Call Saul, like an episode or two of Fear of Walking Dead, like a whole lot of one or two things for a lot of different TV shows, but doesn't like she stays
Yeah.
on for long. So I just found interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently she's going to be like heavily involved in supposedly the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, so that'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Apparently there will be a second season. That's already
Yeah.
been greenlit, and like apparently
Absolutely.
Jon Favreau will actually direct a few episodes in the second.
Well, yeah. Well, I'd be surprised if
Apparently,
there wasn't a second season. I mean, it's the one of the most watched and demanded shows on the planet. When Disney Plus is only available in America right now. Yeah, you know it's
apparently,
good then. Yeah. For
apparently,
those who wonder, I
apparently,
used ExpressVPN to watch it.
I borrowed my sister's Disney Plus account to watch it.
Yeah. So ExpressVPN, not a sponsor, but it totally could be. And if that doesn't work, you can also use Surfshark.
Yeah.
But not Astral. Astral can go suck a dick.
Apparently, Jon Favreau didn't direct any episodes in season 1 because he's busy with the Lion King remake. So, yeah. So weird that, like, Jon Favreau, creator of The Mandalorian, can also give us, like, is also the director of the soulless Lion King remake.
Yeah, but there's directing something and there's writing it.
Fair enough.
I mean, he probably directed Lion King remakes. Dude, it's Lion King. It's a Disney remake. It's gonna make money. But then he saw the script and he saw what he had to work with. It's like, dear God, well, I can't really walk now. I mean, even for the
The one thing
director,
that weirded
there's
me
only
out-
so much you can do, even as the director, when you've got crap to work with.
I do find one thing interesting. I was listening through interviews he gave. At one point, he was talking about, like, you know how at the beginning of The Lion King in the original, like, they use a coconut fruit and whatnot, or whatever it is, to put red stuff on Simba's face?
Mm-hmm.
They, in the remake, they apparently changed it to, like, a root or something, and when justifying that, Jon Favreau apparently said, like, oh, we did some research, we found out that plant actually is, like, white and whatnot, so it wouldn't make much sense, so we changed it to a root because it's more realistic and whatnot, and all I could think was, John, wanna know what isn't realistic? Talking and singing animals. Now, I mean, I don't know what reality you come from, but in the reality we live, talking, singing animals aren't part of reality.
Dude, you're a platypus. I'm a dolphin. I think we can kind of moke out reality at this point.
I found it weird just because to me it sort of screamed of skewed priorities and whatnot.
Oh, I hate to be a dolphin again. I forgot how much I missed it.
I miss being a platypus as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jon Favreau seems like a pretty talented guy.
Yeah. Getting to create again, it's incredible.
Interestingly, I heard people have been wanting Dave Filoni to be the head of Lucasfilm forever and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
If I know right, he actually sort of mentored under George Lucas, I think, for a while.
Yeah, so look, that kind of goes to my theory that The Mandalorian is kind of like a trial run to see, okay, who's going to take over the creative department of Lucasfilm? Because Kennedy clearly can't do it. I mean, she's at 5 years, she's almost tanked the brand and destroyed the fan base. And The Mandalorian, in barely 7 weeks, has healed most of it. People love it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to sideline her or just have her decide to leave the company conveniently to pursue other interests, that's who I'd pick for a replacement.
Yeah. I don't know if I would pick Dave Filoni only because, like, he seems like a really talented guy. He wrote a lot for the Clone Wars TV show and a whole bunch of other stuff, Star Wars related stuff that are apparently really good.
Mm-hmm.
But like, The Mandalorian is like, you may not know this, but The Mandalorian is actually his first live action project and whatnot. So like, I don't know. Maybe Jon Favreau would be a good pick. Maybe what's his name again? Head of Marvel, Kevin Feige. I don't know.
Kevin Feige could definitely help. I'm not sure putting him in charge of the total creative department.
Yeah, no, Kevin Feige. I mean, I don't even know why or how he's making. I don't know how he has time to make I don't know if you heard, but apparently, Kevin Feige's at one point making a Star Wars movie, and I'm like, how does he even have time for that? He's like head of Marvel.
Mm. I wonder what they're going to do with Marvel now. Most of their people are at the MCU are dead.
Oh, can I go off topic for 1 second? But I remember this, and I feel like it's kind of funny to tell you.
Okay.
Um, you know the Witcher Netflix series?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently Henry Cavill is playing in it, and one funny thing is, in the interviews, he revealed he actually learned about The Witcher through, The Witcher 3, or like the Witcher video
Mm-hmm.
games, and he revealed that he actually plays a lot of video games, and he's part of the PC Master Race.
Oh, yeah. Did you not know that?
I only found
Well,
out
no.
in
He
interviews.
nearly missed the audition to be Superman because he was addicted to online gaming.
Really, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Um, uh, apparently, what was it? Oh yeah, apparently, like, he really wanted to play, Geralt in the Witcher Netflix series. Like, he had his agents call every day to know that he was interested and whatnot. Got it, so that's definitely dedication.
Yeah. Well, a Witcher is technically a superhuman, so it makes sense to have Superman play him.
No idea if the Witcher Netflix series is good at all, if our kids have not checked it out yet. Maybe we'll eventually. Kind of more interested in playing the games or reading books. But,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure Henry Cavill is a good pick for him. He
Yeah.
certainly looks like a good Geralt from what I've seen in the picture.
Mm.
Uh, no, I'm trying to think. What else do I want to mention about the Mandalorian? Quick. I don't remember what I was going to
Mm.
say. Oh yeah, here's one thing I just remembered in episode 1. At one point, I think in in the very beginning of episode 1, where he grabs that criminal, not the fish face guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? From now on, I'm just gonna call that guy Fish Face because I like that name. It applies to him perfectly. So like when Fish Face is looking for a way out, I remember him mentioning Life Day as like oh I hope I get home in time for Life Day. And I just
Yeah.
thought in my head, isn't that the holiday for the Star Wars Holiday Special?
It is.
So does that mean the Star Wars Holiday Special is canon? And the
God, I
Star
hope
Wars
not.
That'd be the funniest thing if
No.
that's. I just
No.
find it funny that like
Oh, no.
they just like
Maybe it was
named
something
like
Carrie Fisher wanted as a joke.
Carrie Carrie Fisher wasn't involved in the Mandalorian though.
Yeah, maybe it's something she wanted to put in a movie or show somewhere as a practical joke.
Maybe.
No. No, apparently when she was alive, she actually had a copy of the holiday special.
Yeah, I heard, and she used it to get people out at parties and whatnot.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, fun
Back when
fact,
she was on a lot of drugs, and no movie shows that more than the holiday special.
I actually in Comic Con last year. Went to Comic Con last year. It was a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff, and I actually saw a bootleg copy, or like some sort of conversion thing for a Blu-ray version of the holiday special.
Ugh.
I
Yeah,
didn't
I've
get it
seen
though.
it. It really is that bad.
It's certainly a trip. It's very it's not good in any ways. It's like horrendously awful, but it's like really kind of. I think it's sort of like The Room to me, where it is sort of so bad it's good, you know?
It's one of those. How many freaking drugs were they on when they made this, or what were they thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, hell,
Um.
even the
Uh,
Mario Brothers movie is least watchable at times.
what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, two other things. I also wonder how they got like the whole cast assignment. Well, they probably were in their contracts that they had to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
One funny thing is, also at Comic Con last year, I also was able to nab a copy of the original trilogy, Unaltered, and whatnot.
So Han shoots first.
Yep, the Han Shoot First edition, and it was some sort of bootleg version that was converted to a Blu-ray, and I own it.
Mm.
So,
So now you have proof Han did indeed shoot first.
Did you hear what Harrison Ford's response was to that meme?
Yeah.
You did?
No, what was it?
Oh, he had flat out asked, like, what do you think, like, who shot first, Han or Greedo? And he flat out said, I don't care. That was word for word what he said.
Yeah, he never did like playing that character too much.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, it does matter because it makes Han an active character.
um, uh, yeah, it's pretty cool. One thing I like in the special editions that was, tell you one thing I liked in the special editions versus the original version is in episode 5, I don't know if you remember this or not, but you know in episode 5 when Luke is, attacked from that snow monster guy?
Mm-hmm. Wampa.
Yeah, Wampa. Um, uh, in the special edition, it actually has like it actually shows you the Wampa and it shows you him walking towards the screen as he's like trying to get Luke. That always creeped me out as heck as a kid. And like in I think the original editions, he's just off screen and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of what makes horror more terrifying is you never see it.
Yeah, but to me, like to me, it was like really scary to see it though, just because it felt like to me, it felt like as a kid, it was like coming at me. So like that gave me a few nightmares.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll have them back in The Mandalorian if they ever need to go to a snow planet.
Wondering if I should talk about Rise of Skywalker at all because I saw it tonight.
Oh,
Or just talk
Lord.
about
I feel so sorry for you.
it was very kind of stupid, but also kind of entertaining and whatnot. So I want to talk about the Mandalorian. You know what? I might as well talk about Skywalker, get it out of the way, than just talk about things that are more happy.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah,
so
you
much stuff.
take that massive shit, my friend, and tell us about the Skywalker.
Pretty dumb movie. Certainly like entertained and not really bored while watching it, but ooh boy, is there a lot of dumb shit in it. Funniest part to me was there's actually a scene where uh there's like this Imperial ship that has something very important to them that they stole, and like she's trying like it's like a small shuttle. When Rey's actually trying to force pull it down, she's successful for a bit. Then Kylo Ren comes in and like force pushes it away to make it harder. Goes back and forth for a few seconds, and then it ultimately culminates in Rey accidentally shooting lightning out of her hands and blowing the shuttle up. That was pretty funny.
And she kills Chewbacca when she does it.
That's the thing. We're led to believe Chewbacca is on it at first, but it's like later revealed that no, he was on a different shuttle.
Mm-hmm. No, so he doesn't die in this movie?
No.
Well, they might as well with what they've done with him. I mean, they've essentially demoted Chewbacca to Rey's glorified chauffeur.
Pretty much. I think 3PO is actually kind of decent in the movie. He has a few legitimately funny lines. Like, there was one part where they fell down through some, like, quicksand or something into, like, some caves. And I think Poe was asking, like, Ray, Finn, are you okay? He said yes, and then, like, 3PO said, I know you didn't say my name, but I'm okay, too. Which is funnier in practice in the way I'm building it up, but trust me, that line was...
Yeah.
I thought. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it much. I mean, should I talk about it? Probably just
Look,
make it
everyone
sad.
else has done so by this point. All the spoilers are out there. All the leaks are out there. People who haven't seen the movie have already seen the movie, in a sense. You might as well.
Yeah, pretty much most, if not all, the leaks are pretty much on point.
Yeah.
Whatnot.
Yep, so we all know the villain who is responsible for the rise of Skywalker. Well, the two villains, actually. Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy.
Anyway,
Yeah, Rian Johnson for making the piece of shit known as The Last Jedi that left the story with next to nowhere to go. And Kathleen Kennedy for letting him do it.
so definitely had a lot of fun with it. There's some,
Mhm.
I remember some unearned, emotionally manipulative moments, and like there are a few. Trying to think of something that like really bothered me. Like I don't know, like Return of you all know about Return of the Emperor. That's kind of
Yeah,
irritating.
and they didn't explain that.
Like
Then
I'm not entirely sure. Like they briefly mentioned this as a series that may be cloning or whatnot. Like characters in you could say maybe he's a clone at one point, but then the Emperor himself literally says at one point like I've died before and yada yada yada. So it's like not directly explained
mm,
and whatnot. I guess you could say he's a clone. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm sure he got a medal
hmm
and whatnot, so that's I guess.
yeah,
And like, there's a blink and you'll miss it lesbian kiss scene when they're celebrating.
yeah. That they're probably gonna take out before China.
That's the funny thing; they didn't take it out for China actually, but they took it out for other places.
That's probably why it's dying so badly in China. Well, that and maybe a ton of other reasons.
But it's like, what was I gonna say? It's funny because like I find it funny because like J.J. Abrams was hyping this moment up as like it's a great moment for the LGBT community, and all it is just like two characters whose names we don't even know just sharing a lesbian kiss. Not.
Mm, yeah.
It's just like, and if you blink, you'll miss it. It's just like,
Yeah. In fact, you know what? We should make an entire headline article about it. Big corporation does socially acceptable thing, gets
yeah.
praise.
It's like it's the worst kind of representation. It's just like tokenism
Yeah.
and whatnot. Because
Just like
they're
what they did
literally
with Finn.
well, like Finn at least has screen time. These two characters we've literally never seen before,
No,
and just
why am I
interrupt
just? I just
members.
don't like Finn as a character. 'Cause I'm so disappointed in what was done with him. I mean, this was a
John Boyega
character
is.
with a huge amount of potential, and they turned him into token black comedy sidekick number 16 billion.
I think John Boyega is a good actor though.
Yeah, his character just isn't. And I feel sorry
I gotta
for
say,
him. That was there was
oh,
a
it's
ton of
funny.
potential in that character.
Oh no, it's funny. I feel super validated about this because I was always saying I think John Boyega is a pretty good actor, but then let me take a sip. I always said John Boyega, I think, was a good actor, just wasn't given good material. For the longest time, people were going to be saying, "Nah, he's only okay. He's this, blah blah blah." And then he starts like being a little more like open and honest and like critical of the sequel trilogy, and suddenly everyone's like, "John Boyega was screwed. He's such a talented actor," and I'm like, "Where the fuck were you all when I was saying this?" Huh? Now that he's like
Mm-hmm.
open about it, now it's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it happens a lot to me where like in like and where like at the time I'm made fun of where like people are like you're an idiot. Well, not only later, only for them to later be like on my side. Like
Every
I think
great man is ridiculed before he's great. You know that.
for example, I for years was saying I think Fallout New Vegas is freaking awesome, and like a lot of people thought that too. But I came across a bunch of people who were like, "Well, Fallout New Vegas is dumb. I don't know what you're talking about." Blah blah blah. Then when Fallout 4 came out, all people could say about man, Fallout New Vegas is so much better, blah blah blah. And they're like we always knew it was better. I'm like, no, you didn't. You guys are making fun of me for thinking it was better than 3. Get out, get this revisionist bullshit out of here.
Yeah, I have missed this.
Sorry, I just like
No, keep
every.
going. I missed it. This is refreshing.
I know. I'm sorry if I'm ranting off topic and it's stupid, but it just feels very satisfying when I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it feels satisfying or if it feels annoying when like people like suddenly just come to my side when like something else unrelated happens. Well, at least I'm proven right in the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. What else? Like, did you read any of the leaks? I'm curious. Or did you only read bits and pieces?
Well, I watched a few YouTubers that reported on the leaks.
Okay.
Geeks and Gamers being the main one. I mean, Jeremy, I don't even know if that guy even sleeps with the amount of videos he puts out.
Yeah, that's part of why I don't like Geeks and Gamers. It's kind of just like they can make good points or okay videos from time to time, but it's just like so like. I just am not a fan of channels that just constantly spam out on the videos daily. because like one, that's a really annoying way to fill the sub box. Two, I think like
Yeah, well, he does earn all of his subs. I'll give him that. He puts out the video content for it.
but it's like all it does for me is like, okay, well, at least I know I won't have to subscribe to you, because at least I'll know you'll upload every single day. And like sometimes I feel like that's to the
Mm,
detriment, because sometimes there are days they just have nothing to say, and like they'll just do like a
yeah.
video where it's
Then there's another one, Critical Drinker, who's currently going through what the Rise of Skywalker was and trying to summarize it.
he's alright. I haven't seen many of his videos. His voice is annoying, but his videos are overall good. Not a fan of his Scottish accent.
Can't help the accent we're born with. Unless we change it.
Yes, they can. They can become like John Boyega, who can like turn off his accent.
Come on.
Same with him.
Not everyone can.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
my
John
accent turns on only when I'm talking to British people.
Boyega, fair enough.
I mean, I'd have to consciously think about it for me to actually turn on an accent for any length of time when speaking to an American.
Fair enough. Overall, I think Geeks and Gamers are like just like are not a great channel. Like I think they're make good points when it comes to Star Wars stuff, but I think it's because it's kind of so bad that's like even an idiot can make a good point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Mm-hmm.
I'm being too hard on them. Hello.
Yes and no.
In what ways am I not? In what ways am I? I'm curious.
No.
We don't know.
Well, the Geeks and Gamers has good points and it's bad points. It does put out a bit too much content. Where there's multiple
Like,
videos
made
that
over,
do
like, made
essentially
over.
say the same thing as the last video before it.
It can be very like I'm not saying none of the points are good. It's just it can get very repetitive to the point where it's like, okay, I get it. Even when I like agree, it's like you can only hear what I agree with so many times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But anyway, Rise of Skywalker is kind of dumb. I was entertained by it though. Can't say I was like all I wanted out of this movie was just to be like entertained and like to have a good night. And I don't know I went with my family. I wasn't bored. Had a nice dinner afterwards, so succeeded in that. Not very high standards to have, but hey, that's the point we're at, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't the Joker movie by any stretch of the word.
I do give credit for this. Like I know that I keep on saying it. Like the reason why I give it credit for being entertaining was because like it's not boring bad. It's like entertainingly bad in a way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather deal with that than like a boring bad movie, you know.
Yeah. Even if it's terrible but entertaining, you can still somewhat enjoy it.
That's kind of what it was. I had a fun time. Liked the special effects. Liked the use of practical mixture of practical and CGI. I think that's one thing I really love about the sequel trilogy is I think the way they mix CGI and practical effects is like really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I just like really admire and wish
Yeah.
more movies would do.
If only the storytelling of the Disney trilogy was just as good.
I wish there was like more mainstream movies that like really did a mixture of those. There's
Yeah.
a lot of movies where they're just like unnecessarily CGI.
Yeah. Or if the one-liners were as good. It was like, they fly now?
Oh yeah, by the
They've
way,
they've flown for years, you freaking pillocks.
speaking of like, yeah, speaking of over CGI, like for an example, like in one of the Spider-Man movies, like apparently, like they CGI'd the background. I don't know, like some Marvel movies are like really over CGI'd.
Yeah.
I can't describe the example, but like there's a scene where Samuel L. Jackson talks and they CGI'd, I think, his gun or something to make it slightly better, and it was really just kind of unnecessary. So yeah, it's a shit movie, but it's at least an entertaining one. I'm probably being too nice to it. Do you think I'm probably being too nice to it?
A little.
In
Or
what
do you
ways
want
am
me
I
to do
too
the
nice?
voice? No, it'll be fine.
I'm curious, in what ways am I too nice to it?
If I were seeing it from what I've heard at the moment, I'd probably be a lot meaner. Being that the story
I'm
makes
not
no
going.
sense.
I'm not really tearing into it because it's like I
You
kind
know,
of was hoping.
Palpatine's plan makes no sense. I mean, the whole plot line where you need to get a Wayfinder also doesn't make any sense.
It just happens so fast that it's just like doesn't leave a lot of room to think about it. So that's
Uh,
probably why I'm not that angry at the thing.
Apparently, Palpatine's plan, he's going to take over either Kylo Ren or Rey. Okay, you've got Kylo Ren. Just take over his body now. But no, he has to go and kill Rey. But why? Can't you just do that when you take over his body? Well, oh,
Yeah,
and
this is
here's this
pretty.
incredible secret Sith planet that has a huge fleet over it. But there's only 2 Wayfinders to get there that you need in order to get to that planet. Well then, how the hell did that fleet get there? Who's been giving them all supplies? Who's been feeding them all?
It is a pretty
And doesn't
retarded.
Rey go there later on in the movie and just leave a trail for people to follow? So there must be thousands of people at this point who know
Well,
how to
like I
get
said, it's
there.
hard to think. Like, here's the thing: there's a lot of dumb shit I can shit on it for, but I'm not getting nitty gritty because one, I only saw it once. And, like, the pacing is like it's just such a fast movie where it's like event that doesn't leave you a lot of room to really think and mull over things, and whatnot.
Was the plot kind of stitched together like a video game? In that sense, it's like
I mean,
you need to find this, but to do first you need to go there and find X. Okay, you found X. Now go to this guy, get this thing. They can go to the planet and fight the final boss.
it's funny. I know it's funny to tie this into the Mandalorian because, like, I guess it, like, I don't know, it didn't feel overly video gamey to me, but there are certainly moments where it's kind of like that. But like, I want to say something. I want to use that criticism to actually bring in the Mandalorian because, in a way, while I'm watching that, the Mandalorian also kind of feels like a video game to me, but in a good way. You
Well,
want
it
me to
does now.
elaborate as to why?
Well, you brought it up. You might as well.
Well, I guess it's sort of like in the way of like almost like there's a lot of moments where I'm like I could easily see. I guess less so it feels like video game, more so I see it as like I could see this easily being translated video game still to no problem. Like for example, like the part where he's riding on that monster thing in like episode 1 could be like part of a tutorial thing for riding things. Like when you're sneaking into the basic killing guys could be a fighting section. The part where like he gets the medals and brings it to the Mandalorian could be your upgrading guy and whatnot. I'm not saying like it isn't like a video game. I'm just saying I remember seeing it and I'm like, if they were to translate this to a video game, I think you could do it like very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make any sense?
It does.
Yeah, another big thing was like when he goes. That's the biggest thing for me is when he like goes to the other Mandalorian guys and like gets his armor upgraded. Well, I'm just thinking, that could be since it's a video game, that could be a good way to read the story and
Well,
get
then you need to see the 4th episode if you're thinking about, hey, this could make a good video game. I mean, the entire plot of episode 4 could, in its own, be a small standalone video game.
in a good way.
Yeah, I think it could translate well.
And I'm not saying like there's a good and like I think there's two ways. And I'm not saying it's like it could be like a video game in a bad way, like Rise of Skywalker. That's like a video game in a bad way. But there's good and bad ways I think to do that. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the fetch questy kind of way of. So yeah, I guess in that way I could kind of see why some people are saying it's video game-esque in the sense of very fetchy, where like we have to get this, but this thing was gotten by this, now we have to do that, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. So kind of, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm taking the MacGuffin Chaser movie that was kind of stupid when you start to think about it.
I wonder if a Baby Yoda could be considered a plot device or a MacGuffin. In a way, he does drive the plot forward.
Mm-hmm. And like, Baby Yoda, he helps in There is one specific way that he helps the
Yeah,
main
he also
plot of
helps
the
Kid,
Mandalorian,
right?
and that is he turns the Mandalorian from a mostly passive protagonist into an active one.
Yeah.
Because by forming a bond with the Mandalorian, now all of a sudden the Mandalorian is doing things that he should not be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, first he questions what's going to happen to it. He's told it's against the guild code, don't ask. Then he asks again what will happen. Again, against the guild code. And then
I
when you see
wonder.
him trying to grab the lever that
Yeah.
Baby Yoda was playing with, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That
he's
was
going to
a,
save.
yeah, that was a nice scene I also liked. Like when he like picks up the thing,
Mm-hmm.
small part of the lever thing that Baby Yoda was playing with, and like that's when Ricky was like, "I'm gonna go save that kid." It was a pretty
Yeah,
well done moment.
I know.
I just came up with wonder. I wonder if like it went too soon and stuff, because like at that point he's only known Yoda for Baby Yoda for 2 episodes. I almost wonder if if he should have stayed with him for another episode or two, and then had that part where he gives and
Well,
then
no. Well, no, it does work if you think about everything you've seen so far. I mean,
in
remember in
what
that same
ways?
episode, 15 episodes before that, you see flashbacks of how he became the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
His family was killed by droids in a war. They took him in. And now all of a sudden, here he is. He's seeing a kid, and now he's giving them over to Imperials.
yeah.
And someone who can't defend himself, he could. It's like, well, what am I doing?
One other cool thing like about the Mandalorian is I like the ending credits. How it's like
Mm-hmm.
sort of shows one the music. Another thing is how it shows stylized sort of almost comic. I almost want to say comic book
Yeah.
like artwork of like scenes from the episode. Thought that was a pretty neat
Yeah.
touch. Apparently, Taika Waititi played
Mm,
one of the assassin droid. And you're probably thinking to yourself, "Who the fuck is Taika Waititi?" Am I right?
it doesn't ring a bell.
I don't blame you. He's like he was sort of a small director for a while, but he's become a little more bigger. Like he directed a few smaller movies like Into the Wilderness, called, and JoJo's Rabbit, which is like a comedy about like a Nazi boy who meets a Jewish girl from Egypt. And but then like he really came to prominence when he directed Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
He was like some sort of director, and apparently he voiced like the assassin droid in episode 1. Apparently he's
That's
directing
nice.
the last And apparently he's directing the last episode of Mandalorian season 1.
Well,
Well, that should be certainly interesting.
yeah. Well, that is ironic thinking about it.
Why? Because of that,
But,
like
well, no, I won't spoil why. You'll have to see it when you watch the rest of the episodes.
okay. Well, yeah. Apparently Taika Waititi, who voiced the assassin droid, is going to be directing episode 8. So that is. I always find it interesting when you have like someone who's like a cast member on a show or starred in it later directs an episode or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is interesting.
I'm gonna. What else is
Interesting
going
to see
on?
what season 2 is gonna be like, or how they're gonna end this season.
Uh,
Because episode 7 was left on a big cliffhanger.
Looking forward to it then.
You should see the next 4 episodes.
I
So, yep,
definitely will.
I know.
Wonder. What am I gonna say? The only thing I'm gonna say is, and I texted you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think Baby Yoda is legal in your eyes? I mean, he is 50 years old, but he does have, I'm assuming, at least the mind of a child or toddler. So it's like, how do we? What would the ethics community think? Is having sex with Baby Yoda consent, or is it statutory rape?
Okay, from a purely legal perspective, let's say we actually had a species like Yoda living on the planet side by side by
Also,
ours.
by the way,
Well,
yes, these are the
we'd have
questions
to apply a different standard to obviously Baby Yoda, or Yoda species, which is what's called in Star Wars Wikipedia because they clearly lived for centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, Yoda himself was almost 1,000 when he died, I believe.
And that's one thing that almost confused me about Baby Yoda, because I could have sworn in I think it was Empire Strikes Back, yeah, that Yoda said like for 800 years he'd been training Jedi. So I'm like, Jesus, how old were you when you became a Jedi Master? Whatnot. Like, what did you look like? If it takes this slow, if 50 years is still a toddler, then like, how are you able to by like 100 or 200 able to start training them?
Uh, well, that can be answered with the writers probably didn't think about that.
Yeah, or they overlooked it.
You know, it happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
every
was a
now
sort
and
of a
then a writer can forget something, especially when the world's big.
that sort of mistake is not a big deal for me. I just like found it like kind of interesting, and who knows, maybe it's not a mistake. Maybe it's something that will be
Mm-hmm.
addressed in future episodes.
Mm.
Um, uh, let us say,
So, The Mandalorian episode 4, that's definitely one you should look forward to seeing. I mean, want to introduce a new character, and it goes more into the Mandalorian's background.
sounds interesting. I
Yeah.
certainly find the Mandalorians pretty interesting so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't say like he's like a I wouldn't say he's like a super deep character so far. At least 3 episodes in, but like he's a very like sort of
He
interest.
gets deeper in episode 4.
Yeah, right now 3 episodes in, he's interesting in the sense of like who is he exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he like this? Blah blah blah. And like you said, I'm assuming in episode 4 they answer more of that.
Yeah.
I do kind of like how he is sort of this no nonsense kind of guy, but like at the same time, like one thing I like about it is like he's a badass, but he's also like not immune to like fucking up. Like almost
Mm-hmm.
every episode I've seen so far, there's been at least 1 or 2 moments where he's like fucked up, like or like it's just in like a really rocky situation.
Yeah. Which makes sense. You don't get to be a great warrior without getting some wounds along the way or making mistakes. Yeah. He does. Mm. And it's one of those mistakes that causes Baby Yoda to have to go save him. So there you go. Something good comes out of it.
Yeah, and he learns that Baby Yoda is like a prodigy or amazing in the Force.
Or it's just part of a species that's naturally more connected to the Force.
Yeah.
And 50 years old, which is long enough for it to have been alive during the time of the Jedi and can absorb a few things.
One thing, two things actually. This one is another Baby Yoda funny Baby Yoda meme I saw. It was I think they were flying in space, the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, and he was pointing to like a space McDonald's. He said like, "No, we will not stop." And then like the next image was like them sitting down in the McDonald's, and the Mandalorian just sighing.
Hmm.
Sorry, I just like talking about Baby Yoda meme.
I know he's a very good character to meme, isn't he?
Yeah, they're very easy to meme too. And secondly, one other little detail I liked in the first episode of The Mandalorian was how they mentioned like saying like, oh, they had Imperial credits, and they said like, oh, those aren't good anymore, blah blah blah. I'm like, I kind of like that little detail. And I don't think
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting because like of the Star Wars stuff I've seen, I don't think I've ever seen them mention like the change of currency or whatnot. So I think that's
They're still good. They're just not as good as they used to be.
yeah.
You know, obviously, with the Empire not being a thing anymore.
Yeah. I do wonder like is the New Republic just super incompetent in this timeline, or they just like don't have a hold of the Outer Rim yet? Because like from what
Well, I don't know. They're kind of awkward about that. I mean, on the one hand, they completely dismiss the First Order as not a threat and somehow miss the planet-sized death weapon that they've been building for all this time. It's like, how the hell could you dismiss them as not a threat and not miss that? Even if you
I was
weren't paying
wondering-
attention, there's stuff
was
has to
wondering-
be moved around for something like that to be built. And yet, at the very same time, the New Republic is also super confident enough to shut down all the big crime syndicates.
And one other thing as you brought that up, that made me think of another pro about the Mandalorian is that if you want to watch this and consider that canon, but don't want to consider the sequel trilogy canon, you could probably easily do that because like there's not a lot of references or whatnot to it.
Yeah, there is one Canto Bite reference in episode 6. It's
Fair
like
enough.
it's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but that's all. So it's
Yeah, but
like,
like
yeah,
that.
Canto Bite happened, let's forget it and move on.
Yeah, but my point. But other than that, it's like mostly like if you want, you can just say, hey, this took place during this timeline in the EU or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. It wouldn't probably have
Yeah.
any problem. But either way, either way, no matter what timeline you consider it in, it like definitely makes the New Republic look kind of incompetent. I mean, it's only been
Mm.
5 years to be fair, but they have at least a little more.
Mm. It's been 5 years and somehow they've shut down all the big crime syndicates. How?
Did they shut down all the big crime syndicates? I thought like they just
In episode 5, it's mentioned that yeah they did.
Oh, okay. I need to watch the other episodes. God
In episode 4, again, that's introduced a new character and it's mainly about the Mandalorian's, more of his backstory, more about the inner conflicts. And episode 5 is pretty much a world building.
Interesting.
For the most part.
Mm.
I mean, you could, for the most part, skip episode 5 and not miss a lot, but there's some world building in there.
I wonder
That does help.
what they would say. I forgot. Never mind. What else to say? Oh yeah. What was I saying? I want. Gosh darn, I keep
Yeah. In fact, you could, actually, story-wise, I suppose you could skip episode 6 as well, but you probably don't want to do that because episode 6 is really good.
What is episode 6 about?
It's a heist episode.
It's fun. The heist episode in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing I know about that episode is that there's a bunch of like I know a tiny bit about an episode, but not like enough to know about the heist part. All I know is in episode 6 is like a bunch of mercenary characters. I think you meet. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's very well filmed action and there's a lot of tension in it.
I think I heard one of the actors is Clancy Brown. Mr. Crab's voice actor.
Yeah. And but even on the tension, there's some good funny jokes in there. I mean, it's like one of the biggest jokes that steps out to me is one of the mercenary characters. It's mentioned he's a former Imperial sharpshooter, and the Mandalorian says that's not saying much. And instantly, the sharpshooter says, "I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass."
Pretty funny.
Mm.
Like in universe acknowledging that the stormtroopers are always.
Yeah, I mean that's always a good moment there.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think there's only one time, at least in the movies, that I've seen the stormtroopers hit an important character. That was in episode 6 when they briefly grazed Leia's arm.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and that just made me realize, like, wow, stormtroopers really are incompetent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and I remember in the episode 5, there was a brief mention of that character has the high ground. We're gonna have to wait till night.
I think I actually saw that clip on YouTube. I saw that clip.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is an intentional reference to that meme, or if that's just a coincidence.
Well, it's probably an intentional reference, and also, well, it's also strategically true as well. I mean, the high ground for sniper is a pretty good position to have. But it's also then they probably realized, hey, that actually works. It's a bit of a funny joke, so let's shove that in there. Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, you can shove in comedy in Star Wars without making it sound so forced like Marvel humor.
Yeah.
Like a certain other movie did that we will not mention. Unless we want to mention Papa G's mother.
What do you mean by my mother?
Seriously, did you not get that reference?
No, I didn't. It went over my head.
Yeah, I'm starting to remember this as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit
Was
of a
there
dumbass
anything
sometimes.
else you remember about The Mandalorian?
There's one more thing, but before I do, I need to go to the bathroom really badly. So, we're gonna edit this part out. Be back in 5 seconds. And well, there is one other thing I found I wanted to mention about Mandalorian. I find kind of like weird. Well, not to know if that's if that's no one's fault or if it's a creative choice, but like I'm a the Imperial guy who like says the line, "Bounty hunting is like a complicated business."
Mm.
I find the way he talks is very weird. Like he'll say like a few words in like a deep, very poetic voice, then like pause for a bit and then say a few more words in that voice. Sounded very, very just
It's
like
to make
odd.
him. Let's to make it obvious he's a bad guy.
Fair enough.
I mean, the very direct way I talk.
Yeah,
I'm a
I can't.
person that you should not mess with. There you go.
I just wonder if he always talks like that. Like, does he like? They would just
Yeah, it's a way of
go to
sounding
die.
more serious. I
Fair
mean, you
enough.
notice when you're trying to talk as a more serious villain, you tend to overemphasize your T's.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
You
allow me to
overemphasize a
regale
lot of
you with a
words.
tale. In an age long past, an
He doesn't just
incurable scourge ravaged mankind. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I just wonder. It's like he doesn't just overemphasize the T's. It's like every like single word
Mhm.
is like super overemphasized. Like I get it, you're trying to be
Mhm.
a bad guy, but like pull it back a tiny bit.
It's not just a bad guy, it's also a hint of condescension there.
It's true. Condescension is
Yeah.
important.
Even him giving the Beskar to Mando was a kind of a backhanded compliment when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because right after
Also,
that, he says, "Such a shame that it'll be hard to find someone to make the steel." As in saying, I've given you all this and you can't use it now.
I wonder.
Wow, this game not starting or what?
Another guy who I found kind of interesting. I love how I can't remember his name, but that guy who taught him how to ride that thing and brought peace to his valley.
Yeah,
Um,
Queel.
uh, Queel, that's his name.
I have spoken.
Like I love how he says like everyone's noticed I have spoken. Surprised there hasn't been any memes about that, at least none that I've seen.
Mm,
There very well could be memes about that. I just haven't like looked hard enough.
yeah. We could have Baby Yoda saying, "Spoken, I have." I mean, it's what
Did
I
you
wrote.
see?
It's what I wrote in my family's Christmas card.
That's a good one. Did you see the meme where Baby Yoda was calling adult Yoda a boomer?
Mm.
It's not super. I found it kind of cute because all it is basically Yoda saying do or do not. There's no try, and then Baby Yoda saying boomer okay. Then Yoda just saying listen here you little shit. Send it to you later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad at explaining jokes. Why do I always try to do it?
Well, as a YouTuber I watch casually explained has told me, Papa G, explaining a joke is like dissecting a frog. You learn about it, but the frog dies afterwards.
Fair
Now,
enough.
that got dark pretty quick.
Well, I did mention I think it would be. I did wish that Mandalorian was R-rated so we could see Jawas flailing around planes. So
No, you should
probably
wish it
won't
was
have.
R-rated so that you could see the Jawa's face. It's pretty hideous.
Well, how do you know they're pretty hideous?
I've seen pictures of what they look like.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, like I want. But yeah, Mandalorian should be
Mhm.
R-rated because we need to see
Mm,
burned flesh of the Jawas.
yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah. Show that, but also keep some of the more comedic moments every now and then. Like in episode 5, where the sand people show up. Or the Tusken Raiders.
you know what I always find it interesting that Star Wars doesn't do that much with the Tusken Raiders, at least from the things I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
like the best use of the Tusken Raiders, in my opinion, was in KOTOR 1. Where you got to like really learn their history and the back of not just them as a tribe, but also like the planet of Tatooine and whatnot.
Yeah.
I always found it very interesting. I always couldn't help but think, like, why haven't Star Wars done a lot? I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential there.
In The Mandalorian, they start to explore that.
It's good to hear.
Though they do have a funny scene where, for context, say it's similar to episode 4. A character sees them through the binoculars, and then they're behind them. Yeah. So it's like when the side character sees sand people far off, and he says, well, they'd better stay away from us. And Mandalorian says, why don't you turn around and tell them that? And they're right there.
I always
And I'll let you see the rest of the scene. It's quite good.
look forward to it. Speaking of KOTOR, like the Nightfield Public series, they didn't do many like jokes that reference like the future of Star Wars, like the OT and whatnot. The few times they did was pretty funny. Like there's this one line that say to you, your female character, where like he said like, "Are you an angel?" And like you can say like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he says like, "This is sorry about that. So the dumbest line I ever used. I hope some dumb kid doesn't start using it one day." One moment. Oh yeah, also I really like the scene in Mandalorian where he climbs on the Sandwalker only to be surrounded by a bunch of Star Wars that just all electric shock him at once.
Yeah. Thus he has to go fight the Mudhorn, which is where Baby Yoda shows off the Force.
Yeah.
And helps further Mando's decision to not abandon him. And it also helps show us more about his character. He can't take credit for a kill that wasn't his. Even though he could and nobody would know.
Which are you referring to again? Which kill were you referring to again?
The Mudhorn.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's true. He doesn't take that. Also found it interesting how like I remember them referencing that event in episode 3 where he said like I only did it because it was my enemy and whatnot, and find it interesting that he considered. It makes sense. I just find it interesting that he says he considers bounty targets an enemy. What else would they be, Papa G? I just realized how stupid it sounded when I said it out loud. Most of the things I dislike about it are really small, insignificant things and whatnot that aren't really worth mentioning.
Well,
like the scene where Fish Face is it's exploring into the ship and trying to escape, and it comes across the frozen carbonite pods. It found it weird how Mando kind of teleported right behind him. At least I'm assuming that's what he did. Other than that, he's the most silent person in the world.
Nah, you haven't seen episode 6 yet, have you?
No, I haven't. So maybe that'll change my mind on it.
Yeah.
I just think, what was another thing Oh yeah, like I said, I haven't seen the other episodes yet, but I hope that's not the last we saw of the rest of his outfit or crew or whatever you want to call it of the other. Mandalorians.
And
Like
I
those are
doubt
like
it will be. I mean, they took all the time to make all those guys. They're gonna bring them back at some point.
probably, probably don't want to
I
waste
mean,
their
probably not for the season finale, but they might come in the season finale at some point with what happened. Or the beginning of the second season. I think.
well met like I mentioned earlier, like
Oh.
this is Dave Filoni's first outing in
Yeah.
a live action
I mean, it's
format, and
way episode 7 ends. It ends in a how the hell are they gonna get out of this cliffhanger?
ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just want to wrap this around
Mm-hmm.
back to what I said earlier, where I said like this is Dave Filoni's first outing in the live action format. And I have to say, I think he directed episode 1. And I have to say, like, for a first time live action director, it's pretty impressive.
Mm.
Like I've I don't know if you know this. Have you ever heard of like I think a 2005 version of the Time Machine? Like long story short, there was this director who was like it was a live action movie, and it was from a first time. It was the person who was directing it, someone who had only worked in animation up until that point,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked on half of the movie. But after halfway through, he just like couldn't take the stress of working in a live action format, so he was just like, I gotta quit, and someone else like. So it's like not an easy thing to always transition live
Yeah.
action.
I guess it's easier if it's a TV show rather than a movie.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Feel bad for that guy. He came at, probably thought it was like his big break to break into live action, and he just like was like he's too stressed. Not his forte. Speaking of which, one thing I found interesting, um, I go off topic just because I'm running out of things to say about the Mandalorian. Or do you
Mm-hmm.
want to say something else?
Well, we can end warm or cold, Papa G. It's up to you.
The one thing I wanted to tell you, two things I want to tell you for a bit. That I like I've been wanting to tell you for a while and whatnot, and like it has nothing to do with Star Wars. It actually has to do with some Valve, and I actually found this pretty interesting. You know how Mark Laidlaw left Valve, I think in like 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently from a very trusted source, some more information about that has come out. Have you
Mm-hmm.
ever heard of Valve News Network?
No.
Long story short, he's a news channel that mostly reports on Valve, obviously, and he's like is actually kind of as close outsider has ever gotten to being like close to Valve. That makes any sense? Like to
Yeah.
give you an idea how close he is. Give you an idea how close he is to Valve. He's actually friends with one of Gabe Newell's sons.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like that close to like kind to Valve in a way. And apparently, he recently revealed on the live stream that Mark Laidlaw originally left on probably not the best terms, because originally they were making Half-Life 3, and like Mark Laidlaw, like obviously he was the writer on it, like he was very protective on it because Half-Life was his baby, basically, like he built it up and everything, and apparently some developer guys had some ideas for the game that were like counter to the lore of Half-Life, or didn't make sense in the storyline of Half-Life, and like they butted heads a lot on that. It eventually came to a point where it was a shouting match between Mark Laidlaw and a bunch of the gameplay guys, and one of the gameplay guys said to him that like we're trying to make a game here, not write a book for law, and like that was the final straw for him, to cause him to like just like go up to Gabe Newell saying, "I can't take this shit anymore, I'm tiring." And he left and hasn't been back since.
Mm.
So it's like really kind of sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
Which is weird because apparently, which makes what I'm about to say next especially weird. Apparently, he actually like he isn't involved in Half-Life Alyx at all, but
Mm.
apparently he was like more than like willing to like he was more than willing to answer some questions that the new writers had about the series and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
like in a creative, like basically saying this is things you should and shouldn't do in Half-Life, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I kind of wonder, did something change that made him not be mad anymore, or is he still like angry at this gameplay guide? Because if someone said something like that to me, like we're trying to make a game, not a book here, old man, I'd be pretty pissed. Would you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, lore
Sorry.
is important. That's one of the reasons people go for the game.
I kind of see where, like, obviously we don't know the
Yeah.
details on that, but I can kind of see both sides. Like,
I mean, it's one of the
like,
reasons people still loved Kingdom Hearts despite how awkward and convoluted it became, because the lore brought them in.
yeah.
And then
One thing
disappointed them a bit in Kingdom Hearts 3.
one thing I find interesting is I don't know if you knew this, but like in the Half-Life 2 episode, Mark Laidlaw was actually training the writers that are working with him to like sort of be future Half-Life and whatnot.
Mm.
And like he was planning on like episode 3 to be his final voyage into the Half-Life, and leave it open for the future writers to do whatever they want with it. And funnily enough, that kind of ended up happening because
Mm-hmm.
those writers who helped him with the episodes are the ones that are working on Half-Life Alyx. So
Yeah.
he ended up training the future generation of Half-Life writers after.
Yeah, truly.
And that's funny how it worked out.
Mm-hmm. Everything's funny when you think how that works out.
It just didn't like, yeah. Certainly the writers he chose to continue on the Half-Life franchise, like, did end up continuing it, just
Yeah.
not as soon or in the way he probably initially imagined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, is this boring you?
No, it's just really late where I am is all.
You want to finish up here?
And then we can keep going. So,
One thing
there's a wonder
I find,
about Kingdom Hearts 3. It's probably... I'm starting to
oh
think it
yeah,
should have just... That should not have been the last game of the Xehanort saga. Or perhaps they should have spread out the more things the game had to do, story-wise.
maybe. Well, we are getting a DLC called Remind that looks to be fleshing out the game a bit more.
And finally adding Final Fantasy characters in it. About
Yeah,
damn time. And
finally,
probably giving us an arena-like level as well.
I mean, like, it is supposed to be a crossover between Final Fantasy and Disney. I'm glad to see the team finally remembered that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
I'm
it's so
starting.
weird that they're... Sorry, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Was it one thing I think would be a good DLC and probably help the game? It's Mickey and Riku looking for Aqua in the Realm of Darkness. I mean, that's like an entirely different story that you only ever see through cutscenes. Like, where's that story? I want to see it.
Yeah, it was only like touched upon like very briefly. In, like,
Yeah. I mean, come on, Aqua can get her own episode where she's wandering through the Realm of Darkness, doing pretty much nothing. Why can't Riku and Mickey?
Yeah, she also got her own sort of demo for Kingdom Hearts 3 as well.
That was what I just talked about.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the secret episode in Birth by
Mm. I mean, like, she got her own episode. Why can't Riku and Mickey, give us more of the story? Or how about Kairi and Lee, doing absolutely nothing in the training area? Why can't we get that story as well?
Well, that's probably because it would be a boring story of them just like...
No, just them training.
Yeah, but like, would that really be an interesting story or gameplay? Kind of what would they do? Just have them fight each other like several times and just talk about shit? Like, talking about shit I could see working. Like, I have good enough characters and whatnot, and good enough dialogue.
No, actually give us a chance to play as Kairi.
Well, the good news is that is happening. We are going to get to play as Kairi in the Remind deal.
So that should be useful then. That's good.
Yes, I'm very happy about that.
At the very least, give us more of a chance to play as Riku and Mickey. More than once.
Apparently, the Remind DLC is like the replacement for Final Mix.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of getting like Kingdom Hearts 0.3 Final Mix or whatnot, it's just going to be
good.
like DLC and whatnot, and the Final Mix version will be basically Remind.
Good. I never liked the Final Mix model. Good to see that's finally going away.
Yeah, I think the like they're still keeping the idea of like making the game again, but with like new stuff in it. But I'm glad they're moving to a DLC format.
Mm,
Probably a lot better
yeah.
in one run.
Perhaps they'll do better with future games. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 should have probably been split in two. It should have been two different games.
Maybe.
No, you could have Riku could have had his own game about trying to find Aqua. That could have been its own game right then and there.
Yeah.
And then Sora
Kingdom
could have
Hearts
had
3.
his own game where he does absolutely nothing in Disney Worlds when he could have just solved the plot in 5 minutes. That really could have been done better, couldn't it?
Yeah. I like Kingdom Hearts 3, but it definitely feels very weird in places.
Yeah, it feels like everything Sora and Riku were doing was just totally a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sora, you need to gain the power of awakening. Well, how do I do that? You need to go into Disney Worlds for 18 hours and do nothing.
Yeah.
Wait, I do nothing? That's right, nothing. Well, do I defend the princesses of Heart? Yes, but it turns out they're a massive red herring. They don't matter. So I'm
Yeah.
basically doing nothing in Disney Worlds. Yes.
Kingdom Hearts is basically just sticking around
I know.
in Disney World for 18 hours, and then the plot happens.
Yeah. It's like, well, will this help me get the power of waking? No, you get that in a total DLC anyway, and if you don't level up.
Kingdom Hearts has
You
always
just
had that
wish
problem
for it. But, well, no, even in Press Kingdom Hearts, you've at least leveled up to the main conclusion. It was necessary.
Yeah.
But here
Yeah,
it's
but,
like
yeah.
you could have solved the entire plot in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, like I was saying, like Kingdom Hearts has always I felt had this problem in terms of pacing out when to do the plots and the story stuff, and I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is sort of that at its worst in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kingdom Hearts 2, there's a lot of like space where it's like nothing major happens, and then Hollow Bastion comes out of nowhere. It's like, holy shit, all this shit is happening, and there's these little moments that happen, and blah blah blah.
I'll be fair to Kingdom Hearts. Even Kingdom Hearts actually does have its moments. Everything in Kingdom Hearts 1 does matter. You know, it's leading up to sealing all the keyholes and getting all the Heartless into one place. You know, the end of the world. And then Hollow Bastion, where all the princesses are in one place to form the keyhole. So everything does happen for a purpose in that game, at least.
Kingdom Hearts 3 definitely feels very sloppy in the pacing.
Yeah, and then you got Kingdom Hearts 2. You visit all the worlds, you meet the organization members, you fight the Heartless, and then you find out why the Heartless are being sent to all these worlds. You have to visit them all again, so that more hearts can be extracted for the organization's big plan. Then you go to the organization's home world.
I just realized that the pacing does get worse in each Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts 1 definitely has probably the best pacing.
Yeah, even so, everything does lead up to something in those two games, whereas in Kingdom Hearts 3, a good chunk of the game could be skipped.
Yeah.
Or you could do what a lot of... you do what a lot of tutorials could. Oh, sorry, go.
That's okay. In those Disney worlds, to be fair, they do introduce you or reintroduce you to some of the villains. There'll be Mustache twirling, being like, haha, I'm this guy causing the problems. I'll see you at the end of the game where we have a boss fight and whatnot. Think Kingdom Hearts 3 is a bad game overall, or do you think it's still decent despite its many faults?
No, I like it a lot as a game. There's a story, there's definite problems there, and I can admit that.
Yeah.
No, I think it's because it just had so much to do. You know, it had to solve all of these plot threads that it had built up, and it also had to keep Disney happy.
Yeah.
So I stick by what I say. It should have not been the last game in the Xehanort Saga. It should have been split into multiple games, so that everything could have been tied up.
I wonder if part of like the pacing issues with like where basically nothing happens for 16 hours is part of like Disney being protective of their own IPs, because like what I heard, like it took over a year to write the Frozen level because like the creators of Frozen were very particular in how they wanted their characters presented in it and whatnot. So maybe it is like Disney's fault.
Yeah. Well, Disney executive meddling and ruining something. Where have we seen that before?
That's true. But
yeah, because we want to be overly safe. Yep.
Disney
Let's
definitely
see. With a character mainly for girls, even though most Kingdom Hearts players are male. So let's see what would matter.
wonder. Speaking of Disney playing it safe, oh yeah, I mentioned the lesbian. I never finished my thought on the lesbian kiss in Rise of Skywalker, did I?
Yeah, we finished Frozen, and that's the first thing you think about. Okay, what do you think of it?
Uh, oh yeah. Well, I know. I think. No, that's not what made me think of it. What made me think of it was Disney playing it safe, because and that reminded me of how, like in Rise of Skywalker, there's two token characters who are just gay, who are just like kiss each other and whatnot, and like
Mm-hmm.
the blinking you'll miss it moment, and how they scrub that out in the other areas where that would be controversial. And like that's a great example of Disney playing it safe.
Mm-hmm.
See, my thought process may be screwed up. It has some logical through line.
Yeah, there's some logic to it. So yeah, Disney kind of ruined the Frozen level. Not that it really mattered. In fact, honestly, that part of the story could have done well. I mean,
That
making
sounds
Elsa
weird.
or Anna one of the new princesses of Heart, that could have done well. But no, the
I
princesses of
felt
Heart were a huge red herring.
the weirdest part about what was it? Yeah, for the Frozen world was how like they literally like recreated Let It Go shot for shot with just Sora, Riku, and not Riku, Sora, Donald, Goofy. Just like okay, they recreated Let It Go scene, shot for shot, only adding in a few shots where Sora, Donald, Goofy went like, huh? And I was just like so
Mm,
weirded out by
that was
that scene.
probably Disney again. It was like
Maybe
Disney wanted it in there, but Square Enix is like, well, what the hell do we do with our main characters here?
the
Just show shots
shots
of them looking amazed or confused
yeah,
and
or something
go
be like,
along with it.
huh? Or what? I was like, this is like the weirdest scene in the game because
Yeah,
I'm just like, what the heck's the point of
look,
this?
it's not like the Atlantic levels where you could have them sing along. No, it's Elsa only here.
One thing I think is a missed opportunity for Kingdom Hearts as a whole, feel free to disagree with me on this, is that I wish there was also dedicated Final Fantasy worlds in addition to dedicated Disney worlds. Like, just imagine how cool if it was if you had Sora, Donald, and Goofy visit Spira, like from Final Fantasy X. Would that not be like
Ah,
a super cool thing?
well,
I don't think
they've
so.
already had Yuna, Riku, and Pain inside Kingdom Hearts. I'm not sure that would work.
Well, that's why I'm saying is like that's why I'm saying retroactively,
Mm-hmm.
retrospectively, they should have done that from the beginning. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Mm. Although
See, that's
I suppose you could make it work if you just argue that that's where the Gull Wings are originally from,
I
and
don't know.
that
I just think
something just happened to make them that small.
why I never got that. Why
But
were they furries in
but
Kingdom Hearts?
I don't know why the hell does Yuna turn from an incredible, inspiring hero into a near clown into the second game? It just happens. That's what we're told. Just
Fair
accept it.
enough. Okay, I'll accept
2 years
it.
have gone by. It just happens. What the?
You know, like, what do you think of the idea? Do you think they should have had like worlds, like in like not just talking about one, two, or three, just in general and whatnot?
Yeah.
Should they have worlds where like dedicated Final Fantasy worlds, like Final Fantasy X worlds or Final Fantasy 12 worlds,
I
etc.
believe it could work. They could, redeem themselves for the Final Fantasy 13 franchise.
In what ways?
They're showing Kingdom Hearts.
I also find it surprising I didn't see any like that
Yeah,
like
no,
on top. I mean,
think about it this way. Orphan wants to destroy Cocoon. Well, no, now it wants to destroy Cocoon and Pulse. It wants to destroy the whole world and itself by forcing the keyhole to be revealed, by using Lassie to draw the Heartless, and everything to its world cause chaos, cause people to destroy Cocoon, cause that to
exactly,
cause chaos on Pulse, cause the keyhole to awaken, and thus
exactly.
Heartless will enter the keyhole, the world itself will disappear, Orphan can finally die.
Yeah,
There.
exactly. I think that would work pretty well, and I think it's a
Mm.
big missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake the Hearts ever made was making it so like, oh, all the Final Fantasy characters are just in this one area and whatnot. I'm like, no, like
Hmm.
separate them and like how us visit their worlds and interact in their plots and whatnot, or just do
I
fun
think
shit,
so.
you know.
Well, you could do that with 13. Make it interesting.
Yeah. On top of that, like, here's one thing I'm doubly surprised of. Final Fantasy characters, I'm super surprised on. But another thing I was surprised on, I was surprised that it didn't, especially didn't see any Final Fantasy 15 characters or whatnot, just because like it was came out like a year or two before Kingdom Hearts 3 or whatnot. It's relatively recent. It just seems
Hmm.
out. It's really weird.
Well, by that point, they probably just didn't have time. I mean,
Yeah.
adding in a whole other Final Fantasy 15 level at that point, that would be ages. I mean, you should see how long it takes me just to make a simple studio level inside
That's
Unreal,
true.
which is the engine they're using.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, it's not a simple, okay, just put a little block there, put this there, done. It takes a while.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. I wasn't necessarily referring to Final Fantasy 15 level, but like that's more of like I'm surprised we didn't see
Mm-hmm.
our boy bands like a cameo in some way, shape, or you know.
Mm. And you'd also have to bring the actors as well,
Mm, that's true.
who are probably doing other things at the time.
Mm. So oh yeah, I just remembered I played Death Stranding.
Yeah, I'll get to that at some point. Well, next year.
Death Stranding is a very interesting game. I don't know if I call it objectively good, but it's like very. It's certainly unique. I'll give it that. Like, it's simultaneously at times pretty subtle and other times very on the nose. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
Like, it's like there's a theme of connectedness in the game, and that sort of theme is very hammered into your head, in, like almost every
Mm-hmm.
aspect and whatnot. Like, for example, every city in the game is called Edge Knot something and whatnot. Like Edge Knot, Edge Knot Central or Edge Knot
Mm-hmm.
West or Edge Knot Capital. Like, get it not to connectedness, other stuff. And,
Yeah.
it really is a game, and like the gameplay loop really is mostly like delivering stuff from one place to
Mm-hmm.
another,
Yeah.
which on paper sounds boring, and
Well, you can make anything fun.
during some missions it can be a little tedious, but like I kind of really like it because to me it really gamifies traveling because it's not just as
Mm-hmm.
oh you just take one place from one other or another, but no, you actually really have to think of like you need to think about it, how much you carry, how you're going to carry stuff, and how you're going to travel. And as the game goes on, you only get more and more options
Mm-hmm.
how to travel, what you can create and whatnot, and it just sort of keeps on expanding. It's just sort of this long game of how am I traveling, what am I doing,
Okay.
how am I doing this. Pretty interesting. Hello?
Because there's another thing I wanted to ask you. When it came to Kingdom Hearts 3, is
Yeah.
the main reveal Xehanort not being a bad guy? How did that come across?
Well, he was still a bad guy, but he was just like a static. Um, I'm less annoyed about it now, but I'm still a bit annoyed. When I think about it, it can kind of make sense because, like, in a way, he's always seemingly wanted a bit of order and whatnot. But it also just felt kind of, what felt kind of forced to me was how they all immediately kind of just forgive him. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Xehanort kind of fucked up some of your life pretty good. I don't know if I would forgive him right away. Not as quickly
Mm-hmm.
as some.
Yeah. At first I was like, no, no, you are not doing this. You're seriously trying to turn him into the misguided good guy now? Like, after all this? No.
It's a bit silly too. Also, because I'm like, you designed him to look super evil and say super evil stuff. Still pulls a whole sympathetic villain card.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, mixed thoughts on it, leaning more towards negative.
Mm-hmm.
What a score!
I mean, you even had him pull off this incredible major time heist plan. Why would you have him turn good now? Yeah. Kingdom Hearts, good game overall, but definitely had story problems. Then again, the franchise as a whole kind of had that problem with how it just got so big.
Kingdom Hearts 1, when you think about it, is sort of the simplest game in the series.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, like, back in Kingdom Hearts 1, you just had, like, this very simple thing of rescue the princesses, do this, that stuff. And then the series got on and kept on expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Once we're like, oh my god, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, I think it was then Kingdom Hearts 1, then Chain of Memories, then 2 would start off awkwardly.
Back when things were simple and clean.
Yes.
No, I will not apologize.
It got bigger and bigger and a bit more confusing for the average person.
Yeah.
To the point that you need to play everything and just go through it on your own to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's part of why it lost some people along the way. Is because, like, it was like, for a while at least, it was like separated on several different platforms and whatnot. Now it's like all on one piece.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, like, on top of that, and on top of like all separate stuff, and always each other. Definitely can see how it lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But seriously, a cooking minigame? Were you that desperate to get Ratatouille in there, Square Enix? No, every single time I heard this looks like a good spot to get some ingredients, I want to kill somebody.
I don't hate the cooking mini game, honestly. It's fine. I just like I feel like it's mostly pointless to do it. I only use like the food I ate.
Mm. If there was a way to turn off that whole "this looks like a good spot to find some ingredients" thing, if there's a way to turn that off, I'd be fine. You can mostly ignore it.
Interesting idea, not executed.
Yeah. I mean, come on, the Final Fantasy 15 cooking mechanic was executed better than that. I mean, at least Ignis made it fun.
Speaking of Final Fantasy 15,
Yeah. That's it! I've come up with a new recipe. Dave, you actually made it funny.
I really like one thing I always loved about Final Fantasy, sort of the cozy it had at times, like like the camp, like obviously like the campsites are all just like hanging out, like you make food. I always liked it when I did that. Just cause it always, I don't know why. Just to me, like, always feels camping always gave me a cozy.
Yeah.
Either that, or maybe it's just like hanging out with like close friends.
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that, having been camping. And probably the most relatable scene in the whole game is when you have to make camp in the rain. And there's no eating scene. There's just a tent in the rain.
Yeah, that's.
And it's all very, very quiet.
Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah, there's this whole just, you say one thing, I'm gonna hit you. Or in the air. I can relate to that one.
It's been forever since I've gone camping. Might go again.
Yeah.
Can be annoying, but can also be very rewarding.
Yeah. Last time I went camping in the desert of Texas. And it rained. I had the leaky tent.
Oh, sorry about that. Last time I went.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, it rains in the desert, and you have the leaky tent. How does that happen?
I don't know. Maybe God has it out.
What the?
Last time I went camping was like when I was part of the Boy Scouts. Like, I think it was like, I think it was in like winter out, and like it was freezing out, but like we had like 0-degree sleeping bags, and it's like called into that. It was the greatest feeling in the world. And God, I'm warm.
Yeah, I think for me it was a part of a college course that I did it. Yeah, it was a biology and geology combined into one speed course over the summer. So that was what I did.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was. Went to a lot of state and national parks over America. So that was quite interesting to go on.
Now, when you think about it, it's kind of amazing Final Fantasy 15 didn't end in disaster, considering how much of a messy development cycle it had. I'm glad it ended up good. It's just like a surprise, you know. Like so many games that have like been in development hell forever that end up being like crap, like forever. So just see like a good case where it like didn't.
Yeah. It's probably the way the story developed that helped it. Even with the DLCs being cancelled. To the point that it's hoped that they'll probably do some sort of remake where they'll finish the DLCs eventually. But who knows what'll happen.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? People will make it on their own. Maybe they'll be able to somehow persuade the actor to record it, and like fans should make it themselves.
Or they'll just do a passing enough impersonation.
Yeah.
I mean, the episode Arden one's already been done, so we just need to do the other 3 now. I think now Dawn of the Future, the book, is out, so they can go off that.
Good to hear. It was pretty sad to hear the other 3 DLC. Kind of sucks it happened. I'm so confused as to why exactly. Was it really just because, like, the director left the studio?
Yeah, there was probably other reasons.
Wish we would at least know, but we'll probably either know several years down the line and talks, or either no one talking.
But Square Enix has never exactly been the most efficient, well-run company there is. So who knows?
I can't remember who it was, but I think an ex-employee actually said that they do have an unhealthy obsession with photorealism, at least for their bigger games. Do you think that's a fair description? Do you think that's like true about them, or
photorealism?
Or their more bigger projects like that?
Yeah.
7 remake.
It would certainly make the inclusion of NVIDIA Ansel in there, if it makes sense.
I think like the gaming industry, at least the AAA industry, has a bit of a healthy obsession with photorealism as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying photorealism isn't bad. It's cool, and it does
I think it's just Square Enix. They do focus a lot on the visuals, not so much on the NPC characters. Or the fact that they tend to use the exact same NPCs over and over again in a very small scene.
Yeah, they can be good, but they also occasionally can fall into the trap of style over substance.
Yeah, or they'll have the same NPC, just with a different color, in a row, doing the same animation.
Which game are you referring to right now?
15. I mean, episode Arden, you can see it in the beginning. No, they'll have the exact same kind of NPC doing the same animation, just with a slightly different color palette, all standing in a row. It's kind of awkward. And then if you use NVIDIA Ansel in the main game, you can see them use the same NPCs over and over. In fact, you don't even have to use that. I mean, it's at Golden Key, you can see that. They use the exact same bald guy in a red shirt that greets you over and over.
Maybe that was to save on resources?
Yeah, and when you use it to look at the couple who are playing Frisbee by the sea, you can see what looks like a terrified face on the woman for some reason, like she's being abused. That struck me as a bit funny.
Maybe they thought, like, oh, no one's gonna see this. Let's use random face template.
Yeah. Other than that, I think they did a good job Final Fantasy 15.
Overall, pretty good game. Probably if you played again at one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the DLC, though.
Yeah.
And the fact they gave a better ending for Ignis is okay. Even though it brings up some very disturbing implications for episode Arden.
What,
it was like, wait,
implication?
so all that was for nothing? You could have just done something else the whole time. Wait, so all that was for nothing. Yeah, do you remember the alternate ending for episode Ignis?
I do remember it.
Yeah. It's like, wait, hold on. That's all you had to damn well do to solve the plot? Was that alternate ending? Well, what the hell did I go through all that suffering for? That's Orden.
Well, perhaps
What the hell did I go through all that suffering for?
I have a damn theory is that like maybe that ending's just a hallucination or like a dream or something. So maybe that could be.
Yeah, who knows?
Do you want to end here for tonight?
Yeah, I think we should.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. We'll be happy to do this again on, I think, probably Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, I'll
Or
have to see.
wherever.
I might be busy that day, but hopefully.
We'll do it before. We'll probably try to do the podcast beforehand then. Upload them then.
I might be able. Now that I think about it, I might be able to.
Mm-hmm.
We'll stay in contact and see. But either way.
Yeah. In fact, we're happy to be creating again, everyone.
And this is definitely not the end. You're definitely going to see more and more episodes. My schedule is opening up widely very soon.
Yep. More creations from us from now on. Okay.
Yep.
See ya. Until next time.
And remember, always have a good day.